Good afternoon to you all, Daniel Miller here. How's everybody doing today? Hope you're all healthy, safe and well, staying at home, not socialising, keeping away from everyone, and indeed enjoying your favourite computer video games today on all platforms. Xbox, PlayStation, PC inclusive, Android I shouldn't forget, as we are experiencing a revolution with new Android access to Xbox gaming at present. So if you are a subscriber to the Ultimate, you are able to test and try its beta, which had kicked off on the 15th of September and therefore all of the Xbox Game Pass games are accessible on your Android, on your tablets and on your phone. So if you're up and about, perhaps staying away from home or sitting in the park enjoying the nature and being away from everyone, you just need your Xbox Bluetooth compatible controller. Don't forget it needs to be fully charged, and then you pull out your tablet, log into your account and crack on with your game. You can do that with Destiny since last Tuesday, as the game joined Game Pass, and we've been playing it here, enjoying it tremendously, hammering the Shadowkeep first of all, and completing all the missions, tasks, weekly quests, and you name it. So far so good, very enjoyable, plenty of fear section. Also some of our community veterans came back, which was wonderful. Really it was very enjoyable to reacquaint, to talk to them, as we had not been broadcasting Destiny here for a few months throughout the summer. There was no Destiny here on my channel. We tried different games and indeed had a bit of a variety. In fact, today, before starting out with the broadcast, I had a good look at a new game I purchased the other day, which is a quirky little indie puzzle game called Agent A, and I must highly recommend it to everyone. I'm really a great fan of puzzlers. You know, I played them on my PC in the 90s, and I have to say those games really went into oblivion. Very few people want to play them today. There are very many because they're quite easy to create today with new engines, and if you are on PS or on Xbox, you just can look at the store. And the best way of finding out what are the most exciting puzzlers to play is by, I guess, typing one of the top games of that genre on your search, and then the algorithm will recommend you quite a selection. And I have to say that generally the recommendations are very good, and we get quite a few of them. So it's not like 2 or 3, we get like 50 plus that could be accessed, and therefore you can watch trailers and you can decide for yourself. The way I do it is I look it up. First of all, I watch the trailer. If I like the trailer, I go to Google, type the title of the game, and then simply look at all that's been said on Wikipedia and elsewhere and take a decision whether I like it or not. And the puzzler Agent A is quite a difficult one. You have lots of different things to find. Basically like a spy game, you know, and you need to be sneaking in and snooping at other people's possessions and privacy, collecting different items, and then advancing with the story. So sometimes you will have some serious hurdles. Obviously you can resort to your walkthroughs, but certainly a very, very enjoyable game. In fact, I played Night Call recently, also on Game Pass, which is somewhat similar. It does have a bit of a puzzle and plenty of dialogue. All of it was very, very enjoyable. And I'm just reminded of the fact that lots of indie games do not get really sufficient exposure, and it's similar to what happens with film industry. You know, smaller, quicker, arty films do not get distributed, and if they do, they'll be just screened for 2 or 3 performances and then they'll be sent off to video on demand. It's sad, but I applaud Microsoft for introducing quite a few of these games to the Game Pass. The next big thing, really, with the corporation, as you know, the release of the new console on the 10th of November is aligned and tied to Xbox Game Pass. We will be getting lots of new games there. All of the proprietary ones will be released on the Game Pass on its very, very first day, and I'm pleased to say that with the Assassin's Creed Valhalla, we'll get it on the Game Pass literally on its first release date, and then the same thing will apply to Destiny Beyond Light. So that's terrific. These are 2 major AAA blockbusters, and you don't have to pay anything. You just pay a subscription, which is $10.99 a month here in the UK. I'm going to tell you other thing, which is definitely worthy of note. If you are an avid Microsoft/Xbox gamer, you can be doing Microsoft rewards everywhere, across all platforms, and you will get up to 18,000 experience points within 4 to 8 weeks. If you're an avid collector of these rewards, I have to say, it did take me like 3 months to get mine for the ultimate subscription waiver. Basically, the way it works is you're collecting your rewards points, and then once you reach a certain level, I believe it's 16,000, I think it is, for the ultimate monthly subscription, then you can just claim it. It's like a voucher, and that's fantastic. So if you're really playing lots of games and collecting lots of rewards, and you need participating with the rewards program, which is on Xbox, and well, you can access it on all platforms. But don't forget, they have the app that gives you extra points. Sometimes it doubles up as well, so you've got to be using it as an app on your console as well, in addition to the apps they have in Android. And basically what you do is you get your ultimate subscription free of charge, right? If you reach that number of experience points, the rewards points, and basically that's fantastic. Just think about it. The ultimate includes gold access, you get free games every month, and it doesn't cost that very much. In addition to that, you get the Game Pass, and the Game Pass is giving you access to all the games. Many of those are AAA blockbusters. As we've heard, the service is going to be expanding. It's going to be the main thing on the new console, and basically Microsoft do believe that this is the future of video gaming overall. I believe so too. So definitely a very, very good value, and you should really tackle and engage with rewards. I mean, £11 a month isn't that much, but considering we're suffering from coronavirus pandemic worldwide, you really want to be saving the money for the basic necessities, because everyone is stranded everywhere, literally in every corner of the planet. So if you get your 16,000 rewards points, you are being offered a waiver. You're not paying your subscription during that month, and if you do that most frequently, you may well get half dozen waivers during the year. So it means you pay half of it and you get all the services provided. So that's really good. I've got to tell you, there's a catch in there, and the catch is, if you are, for instance, purchasing, a good example, 4 AAA blockbuster games, and they are recommending some of the purchases as well, for each purchase you will get 4,000 rewards points. What this means is, if you purchase those 4 games, on average you will spend anything between £100 and £200, right? And then you will get a waiver for £11. It's a shortcut. Many other people will do bits and pieces, with their rewards, get 10 points here, 20 there, 50 there. But if you purchase these games, you are getting 4,000 rewards points, which is massive. On the other hand, you would have spent quite a bit of money for the ownership of those products, and therefore you'll be granted, the waiver. So yeah, depending on how you look at it, depending on how you approach it, I still think it's a good value. I've not been purchasing games in order to get the waiver. I've just done it the hard way, the grassroots level, collecting 5 here, 20 there, and it worked. So I had a couple of waivers applied, and therefore didn't have to pay for my ultimate subscription. Anyway, I'm telling you a bit about all the novelties arriving here to Xbox Game Pass. Played Vermintide 2 to the weekend, and it was offered free of charge on a free weekend. And there was another, what's it called, Bomber Crew, I think. A very, very good game. I mean, honestly, very, very tricky. You're playing a bomber crew during the Second World War, with the characters that look a bit like out of Lego games, and it's very complicated. You really have to be building your team and learning all the skills. I really have to say, I was very impressed. I didn't have that much time to invest, but I like the look of it. It looked like a proper a game that will include you as a member of a crew. And so there's one pilot. The crew is about 6 or 8 people, and you really are needing to learn everything from the ground up in order to know how to play the game. And the aerial sequences are exciting, but it's a mixture of a bit of strategy, a bit of air combat. So it was Bomber Crew. That's right, it's called Bomber Crew. So that was very, very good and very surprising. I recommend to everyone to download the games on Thursdays, and then you have 3 days basically to try them, which is a good stretch. Some games also live on during the late hours of Monday, and that's to do with our kind of time zone difference here in the UK. I was able to play them yesterday, and that was quite good because I didn't really have much time on Saturday and Sunday. In addition to Bomber Crew, it was Vermintide 2. I have to say I love the game. I think it's really beautifully designed. I didn't really work out exactly how to play the story. It seemed to me that they delivered it in a multiplayer, non-linear format, so a bit like Destiny. You can jump in, have random activities, but the activities were very good. You know, the action was POV, and you really had ferocious number of enemies attacking you, and it had to be done with a larger group of people there. I think we were a team of 4. The only trouble for me was it seemed like to play very smoothly, but because of my kind of FPS POV perspective, I found it to be, because it's very, very fast, you keep looking left, right and jumping and all this, it made me a bit nauseous. You know, I'm a bit sensitive to very, very fast movements. I'm sure that for lots of our younger players that is not going to be the issue, but because you are being attacked by enemies at all times, and all the enemies are very mobile compared to some of those in Destiny, you really have to be on your toes, and it seemed like a really good game. And also we had lots of rewards, beautifully designed, everything worked perfectly, so most highly recommend it to everyone. And also recommend the service, which is basically 3 days on Friday, Saturday and Sunday every single week. You really have a chance to try some of the best games they offered, Elder Scrolls and Rainbow Six and Ghost Recon and many other heavyweights, and therefore you get to know what the game's like for free, and that's terrific. So remember that every weekend if you are an Xbox gamer, and always download on Thursday. Remember that on Thursday you preload, leave it overnight. As you know, the Xbox consoles are allowing you to be downloading even if your console is switched off. A lot of people don't realize this. It's funny because we've had some of our community members saying, really, we left our Xbox on all night long? But why didn't you know this? It does have a charger which is allowing it, it uses some of the power in order to provide the feed directly to your console. Obviously your console must be connected to the internet, but you can have it switched off, right? So you don't have to be using the full power, but you still are going to be downloading, and I do that all the time, every day. I'm downloading some game of a night, and it's so much more cost effective, and I would say focused on kind of the green use of energy compared to PlayStation, because with PlayStation you can't do that. It's got to be switched on. And also on PlayStation, I have to say, the downloads are lengthier in the UK compared to Xbox. I don't know why, but I remember downloading Rainbow Six and Destiny on PlayStation 4 would have taken 5 hours, whilst on my Xbox it would have taken maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours maximum, and maybe sometimes 3 if we were talking about the games that were exceeding 100 gigs. But still, there is a significant difference in the actual download speed, and anyway, all of that is to be kept in mind. So Vermintide 2, highly recommended, really, really good game. And also the Bomber Crew. Need to check out what the games are going to be for the next weekend, and it's just really a very good practice that you always have a look, and why not use all the services which are provided free of charge. Also on Xbox you have very many games that are offered for free, and you have game trials. So for instance, if you're interested in Ghost Recon, you can try both Wildlands and Breakpoint during your free trial, and you'll play quite a few missions. You become very familiar with all that is offered. So all of that is very good, very healthy, and it's a new business model. As we have many more participants coming in, as the consoles and the games become easier to access and overall offered on a lower price, it's easier for the corporations to both make money and provide a kind of experience of gaming that was previously not accessible. In fact, a couple of days ago I went to my local CX and I talked to my friends who work there, and I said to them how, for instance, I used to go to the first shop in London, which was in the 90s, that was offering computer games through the kind of second-hand type of service, and they were the only company, well, the only shop in the UK at the time that did have a license from Microsoft to do that in Britain. And I knew the guys that were running it, and you know, they were really, really friendly. They were very knowledgeable. They knew everything about video gaming at the time. This was, if I'm not mistaken, yeah, I'm not mistaken, this was preceding the launch of PlayStation. So this would have been 93, 94. PlayStation 1 came out in 95. In fact, today is the day, I was reminded of this today. Today's the day where PlayStation 1 was released in the UK 25 years ago, 1995. So really absolutely astonishing to think that 25 years have gone by, and I played the games on PlayStation, Xbox from the very first day. I really, really liked the original PlayStation because it had no problems with loading compared to all the games on my computer. And we had a couple of office computers at the time, and you know, I lived in Notting Hill, and the shop that I talked about, the computer exchange, was in Notting Hill. DRBMiller Exchange Computers, I think it was called, and I'd go there every day because just literally I lived off Portobello Road, so just go up the road and less than 15 minutes to get there. And I talked to the lads. They would sometimes reserve the games for me, and a few times they offered also for me to try some of the quirky ones, because you know, there was no internet at the time. We had no means to which the games could be tried. We knew nothing about them before we actually put them on our computer. Think about that. Think about the way things were then, meaning you had to be paying £25–30 at the time for a second-hand game, and you know, the only way to experience it was to try it. And also the number of titles was very, very small. We did not have the industry as well developed as it is today. And I do remember buying my first game. This was 3DC, and I really loved the game. It was wonderful, very enjoyable. I remember playing it with a couple of friends on a night shift, and we had a lot of fun. It was very funny. And then my second game was George Lucas's Dig, you know, similar to Star Wars. And then let me think, what was the third one? Beneath Steel Sky, you know, the platformer, the original, and you can still get it on Golden Hole Games, GOG, today. It's a very good game, very enjoyable and very fierce with action and activities. And then I bought, if I'm not mistaken, Gabriel Knight 1, which I really liked, and then there was Police Quest, and the games just kept coming. So the difference there was you couldn't really access these games unless you were in possession of your disc. You had to have your computer. All of that was very, very expensive. You know, it was like really just for a small number of people who were in possession of such revenue, disposable income, you could call it, through which they can invest in some of the games. Think about it 25 years later. Game Pass, PlayStation Now services. You just pay your subscription, you access, if you combine the two services together, 1,000 games online, and you don't have to pay anything extra. So it's very cost effective, it's easy access, and obviously the number of gamers is constantly increasing. We know full well that 2.5 billion, so think about it, that is more than 1/4 of the overall global population of humans. 2.5 billion people are playing video games today, and the numbers are increasing, and I think we are likely to see quite a few joining our community as the access becomes cross-platform consistently for the vast majority of the new products. So that is going to be astonishing. Everyone, perhaps in some remote parts of the world where previously they couldn't access the games, is going to be able to do that. They will not need the console, they'll be able to access it through xCloud services, and I find that to be really, really mind-boggling. I'm astonished by the quality and all the other innovations that are bringing all of this to life. So, really, really good. And I'm just comparing the difference, because in the old days the trouble I had was I'd buy a new game or a second-hand game, bring it back home, it wouldn't work on my computer. The reason for that was we didn't have patches at the time, there was no internet, and the game was not compatible with the computer system that it had. So obviously once PlayStation 1 was released, that was eradicated. Every single game was on a disc. You would place the disc in your console and it worked perfectly. So, you know, I became a fan of consoles straight away, and I've been enjoying the games over those 25, well, I should say 27 years by now, on all platforms. Android in recent years inclusive as well. So what are the news on Destiny? Beyond Light's coming out on the 10th of November, and we've heard from Bungie that they already tweaked the current version. I did have this update before the game was launched on Game Pass, and I got to tell you, it does look a lot better. So I'm not sure whether you guys uploaded it or whether you updated. You really should. The game looks a lot better, and they published an article on Bungie.net. So go to community, go to news, and then you'll find the article that tells you what they've done to the game in order to prepare it for the next gen. Also, Destiny 2 is going to have smart delivery. If you're familiar with the term, it means that, let's say you downloaded it on your Xbox One, and then on the 10th you receive your, or any date after that, you receive your Xbox Series X. I keep calling it Project X, but it's actually called Series X. And you have Destiny already loaded and registered on your account. What you'll do is you go to Smart Delivery, and you will be updated to the latest software, which will work perfectly with high quality resolutions, Ultra HD, on your next gen console. Not every single game is going to have this at the beginning, but even if you are, for instance, playing that version, the illuminated version, which will come to you through the update 2.9, 2.1 is the one, you will then experience a much brighter, highly illuminated imagery. Your graphics, your visuals will be enhanced. They may not be looking as great or as phenomenal as on the new console and 8K TV. Still, they will give you this brighter resolution, and you will be able to see every single detail if you're going through the tunnels, which is what I experienced since I started playing Shadowkeep here last Wednesday. I was astonished by how well researched, well developed and well illuminated every single corner of the moon was, and it was significantly different to what we did have a year ago, so I'm very, very pleased with the works. Also, we've heard that from 15th of September, from 22nd of September and 10th of November, so it's roughly 7 weeks, Bungie are going to be providing us with lots of different surprises. So beware, keep checking out the news, and make sure you log in every single day to see whether something interesting is coming your way. They didn't say what the surprises are going to be, but there may be some banners, there may be some emblems, there may be some cosmetics given to us that are already testing the game on Xbox Game Pass. And there are going to be rewards for anyone who is engaging with Destiny World on any platforms. It's not Microsoft or Xbox specific. So these are fantastic news, and also everyone is very excited about Beyond Light. I think Bungie may be a bit anxious. They may be a bit anxious about the quality and the quantity of that content. Don't forget, since the March of this year, they've been working from home. There's been no activity at the offices because of the coronavirus pandemic, and I think they're very, very stretched. There's been a lot of criticism launched at the corporation during last quarter about the last 2 seasons, but I fully understand the restrictions, the difficulties and everything else that have gone through. So I think our community needs to be a bit more patient, and I'm quite certain that the quality content will come our way. The biggest bone of contention that we have at the moment is to do with the so-called vaulting system that will be introduced on the 10th of November. I'm really not keen on this, I've got to say, and not just in respect of in regards to Destiny, but I really see this as a potential problem with other games as well. Don't forget, we purchased Destiny 1 and 2 as physical products, and we had our discs, which then connected the game with the online servers. We could not access the game on the disc alone, right? So let's say the servers went dead, the game would be dead for us, irrespective of the fact we spent all the money on the game. So when they told us that there is a problem with space on the servers, they already have more than 150 gigs per game, really occupying for every single individual gamer, and they said they were going to be disposing with 4 planets and all the content in there, which is going to be vaulted temporarily. I really didn't really like the idea. It meant the content was going to be withheld. We are not going to be able to access it for the time being, and they said the reason was for the new content to come in order to liberate space, to make the the loading much faster on the new console. but on the other hand, it will have to be delivered and provided elsewhere. So maybe they will need to be setting up new servers or something like Destiny Archives for us to go through. I'm just advising everyone to complete all quests, side missions and everything else before the 10th of November, because that content will disappear. So 50% of the game will be gone and we'll get the new content. That makes it slightly uneasy, really, in regards to the model that they offered, which was Destiny 2 is free of charge for everyone for the time being. That means that if you are wanting to play Beyond Light, you'll have to purchase it, or you need to subscribe to Xbox Game Pass, and that means that you'll be getting that new content. We need to see what the new seasons are going to be bringing, because they did say they felt they were running out of steam on the seasonal content, and I agree with that, because after 3 years of collecting of various types of bits of armor and weaponry and loot overall, there's only that much you really want to have. If you have pinnacle weapons, there's a possibility you introduce new bosses that will require specific weapons to be eliminated, but then that also becomes repetitive. You've done it once, twice, 3 times. I think on the 10th attempt you are likely to be a bit tired of that sort of lengthy grinding period, and they'll have to come up with some new content, probably most likely to be RPG and story based, and we just have to be a bit patient, wait and see what they will deliver. I'm confident that with their realignments with Microsoft and them becoming a bit more reacquainted, we are likely to be seeing a lot more stern, critical approach arising within the company, and them wanting to provide us with the highest quality content. Maybe it felt like during the last year that became a bit laxed, but I think it's more to do with the pandemic than anything else. The team at Bungie is very socially aware. They communicate to the fans and to the followers. Don't forget, very many Destiny veterans are also those people who played Halo from the day one in 2002, so it's 18 years of dedication to the company and to those 2 games, or franchises I should say, and we really look forward to all that is going to be provided. Right, so these are the news as far as my own gaming is concerned, as well as all of those things coming out of Bungie. Anything that comes my way, any emails I receive or anything else, I'll let you know here on my broadcast. You'll be the first ones to know. And also, just to kind of summarize all the news and wrap up this sort of part of my introduction, I want to tell you I am now classified as the founder member of xCloud. I participated in alpha, beta and all of those early tests, and we were having unlimited access to it, I think since March of this year, and I got my confirmation that I'm one of those who has been considered to be a founder member. So that's terrific, and I got my emblem and also a very nice personalized message coming my way from the Microsoft team, who were grateful not just for myself testing the service, but also providing them with several lengthy kind of feedback forms, or letters I should say, that I have written. Really grateful to everyone who was taking time, first of all, to test the service and then provide them with their own thoughts. Some positive, some less so. I actually indicated that my greatest concern about xCloud was connected to the older games, because as you know, on Xbox we have backward compatibility and we can stick the disc in and then play any of the, not really any, 75% of the titles released through Microsoft. That is going to be 100% as the new console comes out. So all the titles ever released on Xbox will be accessible through backward compatibility. The problem I have is you always need to be sticking the disc in order to play the game, and that's different to all the other games that have been digitally downloaded. And I complained and asked what the reason for that was, because if you are using xCloud, you will have a service that is accessible from anywhere on the planet. So you will not need your console with you. Remember that. That's the biggest difference with a new console and with the system that comes together with it. They will need to be eradicating the need for licenses to be confirmed. The only reason for that disc to go in is to confirm that you're the legal owner of that license, and That's just ridiculous. That means you will still have to carry all discs with you, or you'll have to purchase the games and download them digitally. That needs to be resolved. That's the only big kind of concern that I've had. Indeed, I voiced it very, very loudly and sent it in a very amicable format. So I'm really looking forward to seeing whether that is going to be remedied one way or the other. I personally thought that if we were transferring all the content, bear with me, I've got some messages from my moderators. I apologize for that. I just have to attend to this, and we are going to be have to respond to my moderators. I'll be back in a second. Lucian, hello, how are you doing, Lucian? Good to see you, thank you for joining us. And Lucian is saying, I hope Hunters will be considered assay good and meta class in Crucible in Beyond Light. They are behind compared to other classes. I don't really understand the vaulting too. Thank you so much for your message, much appreciated. This is a really, really valuable, very, very important question, and I'll try to illuminate you a bit. I apologize for the troll who got in there trying to sell some products. We have moderators who are always keeping an eye on this, and I get instant messages if somebody's trying to do things which are against the Twitch rules, and I operate a zero tolerance policy which is aligned both to Twitch partners rules as well as to Microsoft ambassadors, and we tolerate no one who is trying to abuse our forums, trying to sell products and spam us with unwarranted messages and other kind of nonsense, in addition to trolling overall. The message you ask is extremely important, and I tell you, there are two things in there. There has been a concern that Warlocks overall were lagging behind in popularity compared to other characters. There is a reason for this, and it's very simple. It shouldn't be the case if you are a PvE gamer, person versus environment. That is because if you are, then you will find that each one of the characters is applicable to a certain situation and certain types of enemies. They will all be provided on a similar footing. If you are a PvP gamer, right, if you are absolutely dedicated to the Crucible and if you're hammering it every single day, then you will be looking for a character that appears to be, first of all, the most agile, the fastest, with the best possible special abilities. Therefore, Hunters are the most popular characters in both games for the PvP. And every single time when we've done Guardian games or any other competitions, Hunters were taking it by 65 to 70%. I have to say, I'm slightly surprised because we did have here, as part of our community, quite a few people who were using the Titans for PvP. But then again, it depends on how they built the character, what pinnacle weapons they had, and everything else. So it's very much connected to that. But if the answer is very simple, Hunters are the most popular characters here in Destiny for PvP activity, and that will include Gambit. Gambit is, as you know, a combination of PvP and PvE, and we have a lot of Hunters in there. I played quite a few Gambit matches, and when you have incursions, where you have the invaders coming in, they usually are Hunters, and they're very, very fast. They have some good weapons, and we get killed, obviously, if you're not on the fastest internet, or indeed if you're not watching our back. And frequently it does happen that if I'm there with a random team, then people are not really at home with the strategy, and these invaders are causing a lot of trouble. And particularly if they notice, you get people who are constantly looking at the stats. And I was very surprised because I never do it, but I've seen lots of people doing this all the time. So they'll be looking what other opponent, if they're having a steady crew, a permanent team on board, what other opponent is having the best score, who's actually achieving the fastest kills and getting somewhere. and what happens there is they'll go for that gamer. Because I remember doing quite a few times attacks on the boss and the primal, you know, and primeval, I beg pardon, and I had a good weapon, which is my automatic exotic Cerberus, and then there was like incursions coming in, and every single time wherever I went there was this guy chasing me. It's happened quite a few times, but you know, that's about it really as far as PvE is concerned, and most of those were hunters. The other thing about the vaulting is basically a smart semi-concealed way of discarding the content, right? So they didn't say the content was going to be deleted. They said it is temporarily removed from online servers. What does this mean? If you have your characters that still have to do certain things on Io and Nexus and some other planets, right? After the 10th of November, you're not going to be able to do that, because that content, those planets, will disappear from the universe. You will not see them anymore on the map. They will be vaulted for, I guess, some usage at a later date. We're not clear at the moment when this is going to be, what later date, under what shape and form. It's likely to come out as Destiny archives. You know, you've seen some other older games where you had the archives which were kind of released at a later stage. So I think that's the likelihood, that's the possibility, and also the content which is extracted could still be worked on, and they could provide it perhaps in a somewhat engaging, interesting format. It could be also a different industry model through which you will have extra seasonal content and, you know, the same sort of thing but on a different server. The difficulties they had, as I understand it, is to do with the volume of the game. The game at the moment is about 120-130 gigs already, and we've seen that with Infinity Ward and Call of Duty, the latest one with Warzone, you know, with the updates. They brought the game to about 200 gigabytes, 220, 230, 240. That would prevent lots of people who are in possession of 250 gigabyte consoles, PlayStation and Xbox included, from being able to download the game. So it's a very serious concern. Obviously, you know, if you have an external 10 terabytes hard drive, then there's no problem, but the vast majority of people who are purchasing consoles will not have an external hard drive. So that's the reason. It's to liberate space in order to enable, first of all, the new content to come in, secondly to prevent really slow loading. I've got to say, Destiny 2 is loading really slowly on Xbox Game Pass. It's much slower to what we had before, and I think it's to do with the tweaks. You know, the game's already tweaked for the release on the next-gen console. It takes a lot more bandwidth, it's occupying a lot more space, and that's the sole reason as to why. So that's the vaulting in a nutshell. So we have our friend saying, I tried to report him but it didn't work. I think I understand, to avoid non-diversity, hunters have to be a bit behind. Sorry, I'm not quite with you. How do you mean non-diversity? You mean when you're comparing them to other characters? If you're comparing them to Warlocks and Titans? Well, I think it's down to the player preference. You know, some people will prefer a character that is maybe faster or has a particular special ability. There's one thing you need to know, is that with Beyond Light we are getting 3 extra subclasses, right? 1 per character. So every one of the characters will have an extra subclass, and we are not as yet sure exactly what these subclasses will do. But certainly, in my opinion, it's likely to be that these subclasses will be tied into the future enemies, you know, the bosses and the activities. I get a lot of complaints from people who are Destiny 1 veterans saying that they don't find the activity here to be as good and the bosses are too easy to kill, and I really disagree. It was like this right at the beginning. They released the game too early, but they really worked on the content, and specifically if you were to be entering Shadowkeep tasks, like yesterday we've gone through the weekly missions, you know, the weekly quests on eliminating nightmares, and they were really difficult to eliminate. And don't forget, for every one of them you had 4-tier difficulty, from rookie to master, And if you were doing it on the master level, you really had to be leveled up, powered up, really experienced with the pinnacle weapons, otherwise you're not going to be able to progress. You're being killed off right at the beginning. So I don't agree with that. I think as a game that's constantly evolving, we have constant progression, and there are very many new things being given and introduced. That is definitely very exciting. I personally like it, and I think that's the model that the big heavyweights like Bethesda and BioWare are going to be following. That definitely is providing you with an exciting new content, which in fact sometimes you'll have to pay for somewhat, but keep you occupied and busy. It'll give you a lot more activity within one big universe. The model they have in the US is very similar to the model which is applied across the industry overall. If you run a television station, in America they don't have like national television. That doesn't exist. There is separate companies, and every company wants to have everything in-house, like a film studio. They want to have all the stuff, everybody in there. And that is the idea behind Fallout, Mass Effect, in this instance Destiny. Well, Mass Effect actually will be there, not there yet, but definitely Fallout, Elder Scrolls and Destiny. These are ever-evolving worlds, and they really want the gamers of different preferences, people like PvE, PvP, everything in there. They want them to be enjoying all different types of activities within one universe. So, for instance, as an example, if you want to be doing PvP, they want you to be enjoying this as much, so that you wouldn't need to go to Call of Duty, you wouldn't need to go to PUBG. I appreciate Call of Duty, PUBG, they have more of a real life environment, but still it's the same sort of excitement when you're chasing other players and that. And they want people to feel that there's something for everyone. So that's the main difference between Destiny 2, or the Destiny universe as we know it today, compared to the original game. And by the original I mean with its full expansions, Destiny the Collection. That game's not really offering something for everyone. It does have a particular style of gameplay, and it is quite grindy, and also it is a game that at that time wanted everyone to be joining forces with other gamers in order to get ahead in the game, So if you wanted to get a pinnacle weapon, you were to be then finding friends online and doing it together with them, because other friends, the veterans, people who spent more time on it, could actually tell you what to do. It's a fantastic concept, but I think considering all the information you get on the internet today, inclusive of Twitch streams, which did not exist when the original game came out, people may not be relying as much on the friends, so they'll have to have something else that will bring in people together. And what they did here, which I find really ingenious, is Escalation Protocol and Altars of Sorrows, right? So these two activities require a good team of 6 to 9 people in order to progress to the tier 6. Yesterday I had a perfect example in here. I always kick off the session with something which is very high pace, and I really like altars at the moment, so I'm doing them every single day. And for whatever reason, there was a glitch in there. For my first attempt, there was hardly anybody coming in, so we couldn't really progress beyond the second tier. And then a bit later, I had a quest which was aligned with the activity. We had a big team of 9, and we were able to progress to the level 6 and complete everything. These are the activities that will be drawing other people together. You will need to have those people on board in order to complete the activity. If you don't have them on board, you're not collecting chests. You're not able to collect what's required for the progression. So it's a very clever way of doing it. Let me see what our friend says. He says, I agree, GM Nightfalls are hard, even as Destiny 1 player. They worked well on this. Yeah, that's right. Well, I thought yesterday when I looked at the weekly missions, the Nightmare Hunt, each one of them had 4 difficulty levels, and the master difficulty level was very difficult. I've actually gone in there to have a look for the first time, and I thought this was really, really testing for everyone. So, it's a concept that in fact Anthem introduced first, and Destiny picked up on this, because Anthem really backfired technically, but they did have it. They did have the difficulty levels, which would then be expanding once you completed the full game, and you would have these kinds of challenges. Also, you had situations where a team of 4 was required. You couldn't do it without a team of 4, similar to the raids in Destiny 1. So I think it's a good concept. It's novel. It is giving us a lot to think about, and I'm personally very pleased with all these ideas. We just need to wait and see. It's work in motion, and they will try their very best to accommodate the gamer's wishes. Also, they want people to have the best possible gaming experience. And there are lots of different things which could be introduced. Sometimes doing repetitive activities like Guardian games may not be greatly appreciated by the older kind of veteran gamers of a particular title, but for the newbies, it's a chance for them to get some good armor, to get good kit. I think the problem is going to be emerging, first of all, on the quantity of the content, and secondly on the quality. Much easier to produce some of these PvP activities than to tie in new quests to the RPG missions, with story missions and extra cutscenes. It requires a lot more time and effort, and they'll have to balance it out. Basically, that's the fact. I have friends who stream PUBG, for instance, that play the game from the first day, and they play it every single day of the year. Their streams are usually 3 to 5 hours long, and they find every game to be exciting and interesting because it's all down to the team. But it's that concept, it's a simplistic game on the surface, but it depends on how people really engage with the enemy, how they kind of prepare for all the activity. And I also find it very, very exciting and very interesting. Sometimes frustrating if you get people randomly selected who are not following the buddy rule, and they do their own thing, coming into a team and then playing it as a kind of a soloist, which I think is completely wrong. I don't know why people do it, because you have a mode where you can do it all by yourself. Why go then to the team effort? But other gamers told me the reason for that is for the solo. In some regions they have to wait a long while before they kind of load the game. There's a few people going in, and that probably would be one of the reasons. Yeah, we played loads of Nightfalls in Destiny 1 here on my channel. Nightfalls together with raids were the most popular activity in Destiny 1. I'm not really a raider, and the reason for that is I have poor quality internet in my local area. I can't have fiber because the British Telecom, the company that supervises the infrastructure, they did not want to be providing it to us already for a number of years. I'm still waiting for fiber to be introduced, and if you're not on fiber, then any form of competitive PvP is just a non-starter. You can do it for fun, but don't forget, people who are like true Destiny 1 raiders, they're very competitive, and they do not want to have people who are lagging. I did see quite a few times they always look at the internet bars to see if anybody was lagging, because if a person's lagging, it's just hampering the team effort overall. As you know, in Destiny 1 the raids are very difficult, and they're like the pinnacle of the overall activity. So it's slightly unfair to be coming in and expecting for everything to be completed when in fact you are a burden to the team. So obviously I've not gone in there knowing what the limitations were. And Nightfalls were definitely the activities that we could do, and very popular amongst our viewers and Destiny veterans. We played them literally back to back sometimes, and had a lot of fun. A lot of people say that the strikes and the Nightfalls in here are not as good. I would say that they were not as good initially, but as the game went on and various activities were tweaked, we did get a variety of difficulty levels, and I think particularly since Shadowkeep was introduced, I find it really difficult to find some places on the moon. Previously I've gone a million times to Temple of Crota and World's End, but I had some difficulty in finding them because the planet's been reworked and you have many more places to go. I just think it's been a very, very good way of pursuing the old content and kind of integrating it with the new one. So definitely thumbs up, and definitely a major applause to Bungie and everyone who worked on it. Alright, so we talked quite a bit about everything Destiny related. I'm very grateful to Lucian for illuminating us on the issues related to our Warlocks, the Guardians overall, and also the vaulting. And I think at the moment there are some other people on the platforms asking, when are you gonna kick off with your gameplay? So I think I have to really start with some activity. We completed yesterday our weekly strikes, the weekly activities. So today I think we are going to have some other tasks given by Eris. Quite curious to see what these are going to be. And I have quite a few quests with essences and other things left. So that is what we'll do next. So it is going to be Warlock, human male, and played by DRBMiller. First of all, we need to go back to the tower and we need to do some admin, which is what we do right at the beginning and right at the end of every single gaming session here. Right, so we'll go to the tower, collect some bounties, sort our kit, and then we'll go back to the moon. Shadowkeep is all taking place on the moon, so loads of activities are there. I guess my favorite activities in Destiny 2 are kind of quite simple. Escalation Protocol and Altars of Sorrows. Just really wonderful, very hectic, very busy, requiring a major team effort. They're really beautifully designed, and if people thought they could just walk through them, they'd find themselves with a lot of difficulty. I really like the activities. I think they're wonderful, and very frequently I just pop in for a match or two, So I want to ask Lucian, are you also a Destiny 1 veteran, somebody who's played Destiny right from the beginning, maybe with its alpha and beta dates, and what are your current favorite activities in Destiny? I'm quite curious. Let's see what they are. Many veterans complained about Destiny 2 raids. They thought they were really weak and lagging behind those in the original. I'm not sure. I've not done any raids here in Destiny 2. We've done everything else, but that was the major complaint. I'm not sure whether they were tweaked in recent times or so. Lucian says, in Destiny 1 I really enjoy the possibility to go in unusual places with glitches and jump sword, exploring the game where we shouldn't be feeling great for Sparrowfly. Could you tell me in a few words why I don't feel like it's possible anymore in Destiny 2? In Destiny 1 or 2 I played from the beta. Destiny 1, right? You played from the beta. Yeah, that's fantastic. That's absolutely wonderful. We have a lot of people who did alphas and betas of Destiny 1 in 2013, I think it was, and they were telling us all about the differences. A lot of people who join Destiny at a late date, they forget that originally the game had some problems, and only with the Taken King it really became, what we actually know Destiny today. That's frequently forgotten because the Taken King expansions just changed. They had like an overhaul of certain activities and made it a very, very cohesive and highly entertaining. Also with a lot of activities and new NPCs and maps and everything else introduced, as well as some of the pinnacle weapons. So I thought this was really terrific. And our friends asking about those glitches and various things which were happening in Destiny 1. You can't do it really in Destiny 2 because it is first of all a new generation game, They worked on a different engine, they really looked at different types of in-game mechanics. The first thing you notice if you were a hardcore Destiny gamer initially with the original is that they worked a lot on jumps. Jumping in Destiny 1 was very bad. It had lots of difficulties, particularly on Warlock. So I, for instance, played it quite a bit, and the real difficulties in doing platformers in there. It was really difficult because the jumps were not as they should be, and the controllers didn't really respond sometimes as they should, particularly on PlayStation, and that was definitely a great concern to me. But when I started playing Destiny 2, then I realized that jumping overall was smoother, more effective, so you can really tell they worked on it. And you know, every 5 years we'll have a major progression forward technically, and that's basically what has remained with us. And Lucian says, yes, I've done the Callous Raid, and even if we do not do a lot of mistakes, we don't get wiped, it's very forgiving. The Cosmodrome, the idea they have is to integrate Destiny 1 with Destiny 2. So we'll have quite a bit of content coming in with Beyond Light that is imported directly from Destiny 1. I personally thought a lot of that was to be completed already with Shadowkeep, but they just left it for later date. They wanted to see how people respond to some of the tweaks, and particularly, you know, the moon being brought back, the overall activity, reworking the planet, and I think the overall experience was positive. We've had maybe initially a lot of discontent, people saying you're throwing in some old content instead of providing us with something new. But as they played Shadowkeep, the very, very different one, it was more atmospheric, it was more creepy, it was a lot more deadly, particularly with the underground tunnels and some of the enemies we found there. And I think eventually people became more excited with the activity. All the other maps that will be imported and brought to the world are going to be exactly the same, meaning they will be reworked, they'll have a lot more content. It's all next gen, you know. 7 years is a very, very long period of time in terms of technical development, and we've seen all that's been happening since, inclusive of cross-platform. Destiny will be cross-platform, so you will have people coming in on PC, Stadia, and, you know, similar to what you have in Warzone and PUBG. And that definitely is. They're a bit anxious about that. They're anxious because right from the beginning, when they worked on Halo, they felt it's always the best to stick to one kill, the same level. But as we carry on, the tech is changing and the mindset of the gamers is changing. PUBG or Warzone, and you come across an experienced team, all three of them are these, they'll just superior, their speeds are better, you know, and you really can tell the difference. Particularly when they use snipers, you have a couple of stealthy players in there, each last 2 or 3 or 4, and then suddenly, bang, you're gone. You know, it's just really annoying. I need to see something because I didn't do anything. Just bear with me. I need to double check whether this is on my system or whether it's just lagging. Oh yeah, it's the memory here which is causing me some problem. I apologize for that, but you wouldn't see that really, it wouldn't really bother you. There we are. Because I could see some lag on my display. Yeah, I have to use I have a broadband and with, you know, our internet connection. We get upload of just one, and that's like. Alright, crack on with some action. Let's see.
Checking.
Loads of items we do not want or need. You see, this is a major improvement. You're asking about the difference want immediately as you get them, instead of needing to put them in, is of tremendous advantage, so that's really cool. And that one. So, oh, we got that gauntlet. Let's see. Oh, that's 3 rather than 6. Alright. Oh, we've got this one. I need that upgrade module. Like my Dream Bane gloves have not been properly... Just a moment, that's not it. My Dream Bane gloves need to be properly modified, and that's not happened so far. So let's see, upgrade armor. Yesterday. Mind you, I didn't get them yesterday. But, so we'll have price here, mod, and we'll have then, which is increasing our, and Dream Bane mod will keep us. So that's done. I'll just quickly have a look at the rest, because I thought this was all sorted, but you know. Yeah, this is sorted. Alleging Assassin's Creed with Destiny, I think it's really awesome. Really, really good stuff. Don't you just love this mask? It's just incredible. It really perfect to the else that we've got, you know, it's really terrific. Alright, so let me see. Dream Bane robes. What do we got there? Yeah, that's sorted. It's much harder to increase because the materials, and I'll very quickly have a look. In fact, not enough energy. Yeah, for the energy we always need enhancement cores, and that's really tricky. We keep using these, you know, and so what's this? 1006. Yeah, we'll need those. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll quickly go and do some admin there. But we'll have some we can delete, and then we'll get some enhancement cores, and then we can get some upgrade modules. Got a new mod as well. Bomber. I want to have a look at that. And let us see. 1009. 1009. Yeah, all this could go to the wall. Fine. We go to our friend Banshee. Ask me what was my favorite activities in Destiny 1. When I start a game, I really love exploring and get lost on going on patrol, and also liked Crucible. I love histories. Destiny is just bow. Oh, you're describing Destiny 1? Yeah, I think overall, then it doesn't really make like a major difference. You know, you'll go to Destiny in-game mechanics. The content is somewhat different, and if there's one thing significant, it's the difference on pinnacle weapons. Pinnacle weapons were very hard to get in Destiny 1, and you get them together with your teammates, would have given you then advantage in completing those missions. Also, as you carried on, or your sleeper simulant, or both, once you reach the maximum level, you could really, you know, turn them into very, very good use. A Warlock for the first time, and everything seemed like but then some of the Venkers and sleeper simulants and a piece of cake. You just walk through everything. So that's exactly how. And two are still, and reason for that is, you know, quite simple. This thing is so laggy. Are you experiencing this lag? Can you just tell me, Lucy? Are you hearing voice cutting out all the time, or is it like steady? And because on my display here, I keep getting buffering on the actual stream. So if you can just type and let me know, it'd be really appreciative. So I have to really double check today as well. My display. Okay. So I just want to tell you about the stream. Maybe that's a glitch on Twitch app. I need to restart the stream. Bear with me. Stay with the channel, and all that. Just stay, and I will have to restart the stream because sometimes it's that's causing lag. You know, so I need to